Third-person tactical shooters. There's not a lot of them out there. Many devs avoid trying to make a tactical shooter in third person as it comes with a lot of caveats. A lot of shooter fans might simply ignore a game entirely if it only offers the third-person camera mechanic or it relies heavily on third-person camera mechanics. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is a game where I feel the community is actually significantly more divided than I initially thought. There's a lot of people always asking for first-person mechanics. When is it going to get introduced to the game, or when is first-person only servers going to become a part of PUBG? Well, luckily we have a little bit of new information regarding this timeline, and in fact, the monthly patch in July should include an FOV slider. This is going to be a very nice step in the right direction, and in my opinion, we'll get the first-person only mode like 95% of the way there. Sadly, PlayerUnknown's said that they're not going to implement first-person only servers in this next patch. The team is focusing on optimization. Few people can argue against that, as the number one thing this game needs right now is optimization. I still see my frame rate dropping down into the 30s and 40s at times, which is not really playable, and it can totally ruin firefights. So without question, I would prefer optimization changes first, but first-person mechanics are a very close second. I've become pretty accustomed to playing PUBG in third person, and I've gotten used to the tactics that come with that style of gameplay. For example, if somebody has a piece of cover, it can be almost impossible to push that piece of cover in third-person mode because they have a huge advantage. They can literally start firing their gun at you before they come out from behind their own cover. This used to be called pre-firing in first-person only shooters, or it still is called pre-firing, which was more of an advanced tactic. Now it's a tactic that any noob can use because third-person peeking is such an easily abusable mechanic. And I wouldn't even call it abusable, it's just how you play a third-person shooter. The other huge flaw of the third-person mechanic is the free intel, or that's what I like to call it. It's basically when you can, say, go prone on a building or stand next to a window inside of a building and be able to look out that window just fine without exposing your player to getting shot. This is free intel. You don't have to look out yourself. You don't have to expose your player in any way. Somebody else could be looking into your window or at your house trying to see if there's players in there, and they'll never know, but you can see them just fine. This also works with the prone mechanics in this game, a popular technique for endgame, which is going prone, crawling through tall grass, and using your third-person camera to basically shoot people that can't see you. It's kind of weird because when you go to first-person view, basically most of your view is actually blocked by all the tall grass itself, so you couldn't see them if you were viewing from your actual eyeballs. So it makes it kind of a cheesy and highly exploitable mechanic. It's become something that a lot of players have just integrated into the way that the game plays, but I can't wait till it's no longer something that I have to worry about, and that if somebody's shooting at me, it's because they can physically see me and I should be able to physically see them. Now, there's a common scenario that occurs in PUBG, especially when playing in solos, and that'll be a firefight that ends up between two players who each have a tree for cover. Often you'll find yourself in a forest, you'll engage another player, you might hit them a few times, and they'll take cover behind a tree. You likewise will take cover behind a tree, you'll be using your third-person camera to view them, they'll be using their third-person camera to view you. Now in this scenario, it doesn't make any sense to step out from behind your tree and push the enemy team's tree. They'll be able to watch you and peek out at the perfect moment at which they know exactly when to fire and where to aim. Whereas you, the player pushing the tree, have to be able to react to either side of the tree and then aim down sights and fire your weapon. There's a considerable reaction time delay between the person attacking the tree versus the person defending the tree. The average human response time is about 200 milliseconds, which is just the point at which a player starts to react to another player. They then have to aim down sights, get on target, and start firing their weapon. This is a response time that the defender doesn't have to deal with, and therefore it just gives the defending player a huge advantage over the attacking player. It discourages aggressive play, and that can really affect all aspects of the game, just in terms of pacing, what players choose to do in general. If you see another player and they get behind cover and your first thought is, you know what, I should just run away from the situation because it's bad, well, that discourages firefights, it discourages combat. And if you're designing a shooter in which the primary objective is to just avoid all other players at all costs, then you've got more of a hide and seek simulator in my opinion. Now, when we recreate the exact same scenario in a first-person only situation, which I was able to do in the sort of goofy-looking battle royale shooter called Islands of Nine, I found myself behind a tree. My opponent was behind a tree. We threw a few grenades at each other's trees, neither of them connected, and then I got bored and said, you know what, I'm going to push this guy's tree. I think I can win. We're going to be on equal footing when he peeks out. I don't know which side of the tree he's going to peek out from, and he doesn't know exactly where I'm going to be when he peeks out from that tree. So we're going to have an equal response time and equal opportunity to zero in on each other and gun them down. So at that point, the firefight becomes about skill. He has the option to try and duck behind cover if I don't kill him initially, but for the most part, the firefight is still solely based on skill rather than 90% based on positioning. I ended up winning the firefight, which could have just as easily gone in his direction as well. But the point being is that I was not hugely disadvantaged for taking the aggressive play, pushing the game, keeping the pacing moving, going to try and get his loot, and then moving on to the rest of the circle. So much of PUBG seems to revolve around stalemates or long drawn out firefights in which players are just abusing that third-person camera, not leaving their cover, and then all of a sudden the circle is upon you and both players are dead, or even the victor who might have won that firefight now doesn't have enough time to escape the circle, or might just barely get out of there but is now at a huge disadvantage for actually engaging in combat. I personally cannot wait for PUBG to introduce the first-person only servers. I think they might be a lot more popular than I initially thought. Pretty much all the people I play PUBG with now are absolutely excited for first-person only mode. Most of them want to play it, and I know a lot of people who haven't even adopted this game yet, not because they don't like the idea behind it, but because they just won't play third-person games. So I think there's going to be a huge market for the first-person only version of PUBG, and I can't wait till it gets here. I think it could basically propel PUBG into an even bigger status than it currently is. Anyway, the third person versus first person argument has been raging for years. I think you guys know what side of that argument I'm on, but how many of you guys are actually holding off on PUBG until it does come out with a first person only mode? Or how many of you really just want to play the first person only mode, and until then you're playing third person just to sort of keep up with the game's meta? Let me know in the comments section, and as always guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.